Welcome back to the Nightlife Podcast, Season 4, Episode 4. Guys, today I am bringing in a friend, somebody I met in the industry here in Miami a while back, a few years back, and somebody who I wanted to interview for a while and talk about certain aspects of the industry that, that I know that she's been involved with and different things that she's worked with. And then when we spoke, prior to the interview, she mentioned some subjects that I thought needed to be addressed and that we went into in this interview. So today's episode is very important for all those women out there, and definitely for those guys who are in any position of power in the industry. So I want you to welcome Angelina. Angie, how are you?
Hi.
How are you today?
How are you?
Good. Angie, you are in Orlando, right?
I am. I moved here about 3 years ago from Miami,
Yes,
and I love it.
you love it?
I do.
Oh my
I really
God.
love it.
You know how
It's
many
nice,
people, you know how many people,
peaceful.
well, that side, I agree 100%, but you know how many people I've spoken to that have been in the industry or are in the industry and go to Orlando, but they're going nuts with, it's non-Miami, but that's unless you're kind of over the Miami scene, right? It's
Yeah.
it's
I mean, Miami's just like higher volume, but I think downtown Orlando has more, or Orlando in general, has more bars per
square footage,
per something, I think,
right?
yeah, than anywhere else in like the state or in the country, I think, even.
Right.
So we have a lot of business in regards to the nightlife.
Right. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about what you have done in the industry before first? Let's start there, where you started and
So I started working when I first started in the industry, I started working as a promo girl, doing different promos for different companies. I started working with Red Room Key. And I'm no longer with them, but I was with them for a while, on and off,
okay,
depending on what I was doing. I started off as a promo girl.
right? We're not gonna say when this was, but about how old were you then?
I was about 23, 24.
Okay. So
And
so last year, let's say last year.
last year, no, I'm
No,
30.
I'm kidding. I was trying not to go to the age, Although I know
Oh,
that
I don't
you don't
mind.
mind. I know.
I
I know.
never mind.
You don't look the age.
Honestly,
Listen.
like, if you're comfortable in your skin, like, it doesn't matter.
Right. Or in your hair, in my case. It's where the age is seen most.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so you started with
true.
with Reagan. Yeah, I know it is. So I met you later on, as you were waitressing at the time that I met you.
At Blue Martini.
Correct. What the so was that right after?
That was right after I was working with Red Room Key. I worked with them as a promo girl at first, and then I started go-go dancing for the
Right.
company.
Okay.
And
Cool.
then I started working at Blue Martini, and I was doing both at the same time.
Okay.
And I picked up a couple of waitressing shifts at Space,
Okay.
and I worked a couple bartending shifts at Heart.
Right.
I also worked for Swarm doing
Big events.
different events that they would do. Swarm,
Shout
whoever
outs
doesn't
shout outs to Swarm to Shawi Howie.
happy.
Um.
Haven't seen them in a while.
Okay.
But I
So
worked for that company as well.
were you doing
Um,
waitressing there, bartending,
I was
anything?
bartending,
Okay.
and I was bartending just like different events for, different occasions. I think I did like a Cinco de Mayo. I did St. Patty's Day. I worked with another company too, I think, for like a Calle Ocho.
Right.
I've done just like a little bit of everything, honestly.
What about the cruises?
So that was also with Red Room Key.
That was
Red
right.
Room Key was hired by Wet Travel, which handles they handle all the group cruises. So
Got it.
shout out to them, Wet Travel. I love them. They're
That was
amazing.
those are some cool events, very cool events you got.
Amazing. I mean, they have a whole salsa cruise too,
Oh yeah,
and which I think they have like usually at the end of the year. Maybe not this year, but
right.
maybe next year. It's awesome from what I've heard. But I haven't been on the salsa cruise. I've only done all the group cruises
Right.
since 2017. I started 2017 and I ended 2019 in January.
Right.
So they have 2 cruises in the year, and then I was one of the managers that would help with all the dancers, like costume design, managing the dancers' schedules, and just assisting with anything that Stephanie, who's the owner of Red Room Key, needed in regards to that. And I mean, she would put on these amazing shows that like you wouldn't get anywhere else. And like, I highly respect Zantra, which is another go-go dancing and entertainment company
Right.
in Miami. But to be honest, completely honest, like what Stephanie has done with Red Room Key is amazing. Like
Another level.
the experiences that I've had working with her and working with that company has been amazing. Just like a once in a lifetime type thing, right?
Right.
And I was able to become friends with managers of different DJs and
Right.
like, things that I never even talk about now, which is
Right.
fun because like I get to talk about it with you.
Right. So
But
let me ask you something. You're still in the industry, right? In Orlando, you're still doing some of this.
I am.
Okay.
I work for hotels now,
Okay.
which I think is better for people, people like me who don't want to deal with the nightlife as much.
Right.
Although the hotel that I work at, it's called the Rosen Plaza Hotel. And Mr. Rosen owns several different properties in Orlando only.
Okay.
But he's amazing. I mean, he does a lot of community work, and I really enjoy working for that company, to be completely honest. And I do several corporate events. I mean, I've worked with Google, American Express, just different like big companies.
So in general, from what I hear, it's a good evolution you've had over the years. In the industry, it's very different things that you've been doing, basically. From first of all,
Yeah.
second of all,
A wide range of
yes,
things in the industry, but
which is good. I mean, you start somewhere. And I have a feeling at the beginning, and that's something I want to get into in a moment. But I have a feeling that at the beginning, it all has to do a little bit more with age and looks. In this industry,
yeah.
in this industry, I guess at a certain age, or it's what most venues are really looking for. In production, when it comes to go dancers, it's one, and when it comes to being behind the bar or a waitressing or hostesses and all those things. I don't know if you noticed that I mention a lot of those, but I don't mention a lot of management positions. It's a subject that we touched on a little bit before you came on, and we're gonna dig in a minute. But definitely it starts with that, and then you grow, you mature as a woman, as a person, as a business person, and you see that there are other areas where you can go, and where maybe those things aren't as common or as needed or as important anymore. Correct?
Yeah.
Not meaning that you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It's completely separate, one or the other. So how different is it working at a corporate event type, at a hotel, for example, and versus let's say a groove cruise or behind a bar at a very well known bar in Miami?
Okay. They're all so different. Okay, so I mean, working behind the bar in Miami, I mean, you're dealing with a lot of people, right? Like it's very, very high volume.
Right.
And it's like the moment you start working, like you get thrown in that fire. And it's it's a lot. Like it's if you just started bartending, it's a lot. A
Right.
lot to remember, a lot to deal with. I mean, it's always, honestly, it was the best thing because at that point, like, that you can do anything.
Right. True.
But I think the type of people you get in Miami is completely different than the type of people you get in Orlando. You
Okay.
know, and in Miami, you have a big window of time that you spend behind the bar,
Okay.
because everything closes pretty late or doesn't close at all,
Right.
or will like close a day later, like at Space or at Heart
Right.
sometimes.
Or start a
Um,
lot earlier, like in Blue Martini that opens at 4.
yeah, I mean, I had my shifts sometimes as a waitress, and I would start off at, I think, 4 p.m., 3 p.m. to like set up and then keep going until, if it stays busy, you'll stay there until like 4 a.m.,
Right.
5 a.m., whatever.
Yeah.
And
That's if you're not involved in the whole let's party after, which is one of the issues in the industry. A lot of people are part of
oh,
that.
that was my thing for such a long time, especially working there. I mean, I would get off of work and, like, because it was all new to me, like I initially started working in the legal, like as a legal assistant, as a receptionist in legal field. And I did that for quite a while until I started in the nightlife.
And
And I
and
also
you
worked in
saw
the medical field.
and you saw the money in the nightlife.
Yeah, because it was easy and it was fun. And, like it's not like as stressful, and like you're able to make money and enjoy your youth at the same time.
Correct.
So it's something that is like appealing, to anybody, and anybody who's young and like, in your prime, right?
Right.
So I was doing well, but it was a lot, because going out after work and then staying out. I mean, I used to come into work sometimes on a Saturday and I wouldn't come home until like Monday morning. And that's because there were so many things to do in Miami and I was so caught up.
So
Like,
so thankfully you found a job at Heart and Space that were the ones that were opening late, or after parties and making a little money extra in that sense, I
oh
guess.
yeah, it was really good. I mean, Space, I didn't stay there for too long, but I did pick up a few shifts or several shifts at Heart, and their energy, which I think Heart is closed now, and I think it's now
Mhm.
like Wynwood Factory. I think they moved to Wynwood Factory, like all of
Correct.
management over there,
Correct.
and they're great. I remember my manager John Fortini, I think his last name is. He's awesome, and
I mean, that area alone has changed a lot just due to the fact that you have now 11 right there next to what used to be, what Space is or was, whatever. I don't even.
oh yeah, there was so much business, and
No,
there's never a night that you're not gonna make money. Like
no,
you're walking with a month's rent in one day, right?
right.
Like that's crazy.
It is.
And it's something that like you never want to leave that, like you see the money in this industry and it's amazing. It's just important to like remember never to just like not get too caught up
Right.
in like the stuff, right? Because there is, with that comes people who are very territorial about their like shifts, for example, or a lot of drama.
Right. Were you part of any gang or group within the industry? I mean, it just there's so many places that you see that that click. Like
Oh yeah, the little cliques and stuff. I mean,
Miami is very easily divided by las cubanitas, las venezolanas, las colombianas. They separate until they find
oh,
out that they have a lot in common. And it's we're all the same. But
I feel like for the most part, if you were nice to me, I'll be nice to you.
right,
I think that if you were just, I don't know, for me, just like people, if they were kind to me, I'm going to be kind to you. But there's a lot of times that I would, you know, get caught up in a lot of the stuff that was going on because I didn't know like how to handle it. It wasn't something that I was used to.
Right. So
And
I think one of the issues that we have in this industry is that a lot of the training that happens is very like quick, fast. Let me, hiring, for example, hiring at a nightclub, it starts with looks. 100%.
oh,
Or,
100%.
then you have maybe recommendations as a second thing to look at. Did somebody that I know recommend this person or not, whatever. The actual job part, how good is she or he doing their job, they leave it, last in so many ways. Although, I mean, there are that just can't do the job and they have to be fired, whatever. But if you are able to learn fast enough and to stay, depending, of course, on the venues. But I guess the smaller they are, the more this happens.
Yeah.
Or if the less corporate they are, also in a way. But in general, that's a big issue. And I don't see much training going on with all those things. Like, for example, understanding that you should not be partying after hours, and considering the fact that tomorrow we open at 4 again, and you may be on that shift again, and you have other stuff to do. You have a life, So there are different aspects that are probably you learn on the go.
Okay. The type of training that you get, for example, working at a hotel is not the same kind of training that you're going to get at a bar or
100%.
A bar that doesn't serve food, even a bar that does serve food, like, or in the nightlife in general.
Right.
Any place like that, you just get thrown in. They see if they like you, and if you can handle the things on your own. And it's completely different. You're not going to get that step-by-step training. Nobody's going to mention HR to you. Like, that
Right.
doesn't exist.
Right.
Nobody's going to mention sexual harassment to you. Nobody's
Right.
going to mention anything that you would normally get working for a corporate company.
Right.
And it's definitely something that I think that managers should address to people, like in regards to, I guess, morale, like in the company or whatever.
Right.
It's
so I've been on the other side of the boat. I've been on the ownership side of small venues, small boutique clubs, whatever what we call here mom and pops, and I always see it, and especially coming from the investing partner, is I am worried about making money now. I'm not really worried about all those little things. But when you come from learning a little bit about venues that operate, a little more corporate, you always think, the more corporate we can be, the longer we'll be around, and the safer it'll be, the better environment we can build. We were at a club for 14 years in Key Biscayne, and I can honestly.
Which one was it?
It was Yahe and Bayside. Bayside was the second one. Key Biscayne. It started as South Fork. It became Madhouse, and then Yahe. It was 3 names. Key Biscayne, we closed 2007, just so you have an idea how long ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we started there we started in the 90s over there, so imagine.
Oh, wow.
And the issue is this, like with that venue and the way that it was operated and everything, we were lucky enough to find management that actually cared and came from that experience and was able to worry, and care about those things and teach us about it, because we didn't have that kind of experience before. And we were all, coming from that whole, let's get the hottest girls, let's get the fastest guys for bussers and back, they're the ones that are really running around. We have the girls, they have to go out there, they got to go flirt, they got to go make sales. That's, that mindset. When you're young, you're just, and you have no idea what you're doing really. You just landed in this thing, and now you own a venue, a club, and you're like, wow, let's, not really understanding all the issues that could, come with this whole experience, especially managing people, So we were fortunate enough to find the right management, the right, especially the GM back then, who took good care of this whole aspect. And we can actually honestly say today that after like 14 years of being there with different names and everything, everybody that went through there is like part of our, family. Like we still are in contact with people that have been retired for a while and whatever, and it's a different experience. Now that is different from my experience as a promoter working at different venues and what I have seen in different places,
Yeah.
And you mentioned, like harassment. It's one of the biggest parts. It's something that I don't know. I don't know how much people either not see it or they want to just turn around and act like they don't see it. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know what your experience
I feel
is.
like anybody who works in the industry, anybody who's really worked in the industry, like they know that it's a
Right.
thing. There's no one who works in the industry and can tell me, no, that doesn't happen,
Right.
because it does.
You feel
It
that
does.
you feel that
And
men are
and
treated
whoever says that no, it doesn't happen is a liar.
right.
And this maybe trying to cover their ass or whatever. Use the
It,
language. I don't know if I'm
right.
allowed to
Is
say.
this an here you can say whatever you want. Yeah, it's I won't bleep or anything. So
Yeah.
let me ask you something. Do you think and I agree. I agree. I think that it is something that most people just turn a blind eye to, and if I have
Yeah.
very, very, very seldom actually seen anything being done about it. To be honest with you, I am
Yeah.
planning. I am planning
The only thing
on.
that
Say that again.
the only thing that I can think of that is ever done about it is that the said person who is the victim ends up getting fired, and or threatened or bullied.
So
A
this is
lot of
when it
things.
this is when it comes from the top down. Correct. What we're talking.
Um,
I mean, the way you're mentioning it, if you end up fired, it's not because it's happening from colleagues, but it's mostly happening from either ownership or management in that way.
oh yeah, 100%.
Right.
And
So is it more of a power thing, you think?
I definitely think that people who are in power have a tendency, and it's not all the time, but they do have a tendency to abuse their power. And it's something that you see more often in the nightlife than in any other industry.
Right.
And that might be a very bold statement, but I do believe that it's true. I mean, considering I've uh, dipped my feet in different types of industries and different fields and things like that, and I've never seen it as much as the way you see it in the nightlife, and how afraid women are to speak out about these things.
Is
Afraid,
it
so afraid, because as a bartender, as a anybody who works in the nightlife and you want to stay in the nightlife, your reputation is constantly um, at risk. If something like that were to happen, if you go to, and if something happens and you were to speak out about a situation, because people who work in big nightclubs and all the different nightclubs, like they all know each other.
right?
They all talk. Everybody talks. Everybody in this industry talks. They all talk
Right.
about each other, good and bad.
Right.
And if you have that reputation of, I'm going to talk and I'm going to speak out and use my voice to address something that happened to me that was wrong and shouldn't be, is something that
Right. Right. I get it.
legally it's not okay for any
Man,
business.
I get it 100% on a different subject, but something similar happens to us in this industry, which is a lot of times venues decide not to pay what we are owed. We do get paid a big chunk of what they sell. We are a partner in what it's done. That's how it works. But when a venue is not doing so well on other nights, they're not able to pay, and they decide not to pay, and you end up not being paid. For us to come out there and come after them, it ends up closing doors at other venues. So a lot of times we just leave that behind just to not have the issue at other places. So what you're saying is that besides the fact that it happens with top level, management and ownership probably, you're saying that it'll, besides getting you probably out of there, it'll also close other doors.
Yeah, 100%. It closes doors for a lot of us, especially women,
Let me
because
let me ask you.
people love seeing women as liars or people who make things up, and
Right.
and
You think things have changed, now that, with the Me Too movement and how a lot of women are speaking up? I mean,
yeah,
are they?
I mean, look, there's two types of people. There are people who believe that women who are hashtagging Me Too or coming out and feeling like they have, using that movement as a crutch, right, to feel like they have a voice finally.
Right.
And then there's some people who think all these women are full of shit and that they're all liars, and they get gaslighted and bullied, and it just, the circle just comes back around to bite them in the ass, right?
Right.
But I think that all the women who are able to speak out about their experiences, their negative experiences, first of all, it's really difficult for anybody to come out and just say, hey, this is what happened to me.
Right.
I was abused. I was taken advantage of, and it's not okay. Like that, for a woman to come out and say something like that is hard.
Right.
And I think that those women should be, thank you, because you're giving a voice to women who find it difficult to have one, especially in this industry, right?
Right.
And I mean, most of the women who came out and said those Me Too things, right, like, and made these accusations, are women who worked in the music industry, which is similar to entertainment. I mean, it's like entertainment, it all like comes back around, right?
Right.
It ends up, a lot of these women started off too, like in this industry, like working in the nightlife.
Does it have to do maybe with it? Is it maybe the alcohol, or it's more of a power thing, you think?
I think it's a power thing. And the alcohol just gives them a little bit of it's like liquid confidence, right? To just like, but that's not always the case. I mean, I've worked with people who would remain sober and they would still try to take advantage. I mean, this person was just a promoter, but I remember working at a venue. I'm not gonna be dropping names or anything like that,
right?
Just to respect these different companies, because there are people involved that do get affected,
right?
That I do respect. But I did work for a venue, and I remember working one night and I was just bartending, minding my business, and I was being really nice to everybody, of course, because that's my job. That is my job, to be nice to everybody. And
it's not
want to make them feel good.
You're being asked to do so, by the way. We push owners, managers, everybody pushes for that to happen from staff.
Yeah, like you want the environment to be fun, and I enjoy my job. Like most days I'm now even more, because it's the things that I deal with are different. Okay. But I was enjoying my job. I love the music, the vibes, everything. And bartending, and this guy, he's like a promoter, but was also good friends with management and the owners, whatever. Like they all vouched for this guy. And we were cool. Like I thought everything was fine and everything was just normal. Like you work with me, I work with you. Like you're my coworker. We always have fun. Right. And one day he came up to me, grabbed me by the back of my neck, like right behind my neck, pulled me really close to him, and said some stuff I don't even want to say on here. But okay. I remember pulling back and feeling like extremely, I was in shock. I was like, wow, I mean, my first instinct was to become upset.
You mind saying what was? You mind saying what was said?
He said something along the lines of like, I don't even like, I can't even with this guy.
Right.
Something along the lines of like, damn, mommy, you're so fine. Like, I can't, something about like wanting to hit it, whatever, like wanting to
Right.
fuck me,
Right.
basically. And I remember he used the word fuck.
Were this like his first words approaching you ever in that sense? In that?
No, he was so normal. Like before, he's like the hype, like was like the hype man too, like in the venue and
Right.
all these things. And he said that to me, and I remember pulling back, and I was like, how dare you?
Right.
I don't care how cool we are. That is unacceptable. No man, first of all, putting your hands on another employee in a like in any business is not okay.
Right.
Don't touch anyone. Just
Correct.
don't. Because you don't know what they've been through. You don't know what they've been through in their life. Not only that, like it's just disrespectful. Like you always ask. I mean, most people were taught that as kids, right? Like
Right.
it's literally elementary. Like, come on.
How
Don't touch it.
how did you feel at that moment when that happened?
I felt really taken back. I felt like taken advantage of. I felt like you create like a bond of like trust with your coworkers, considering that sometimes fights break out and all these things happen in a nightclub, right?
Right.
Things that there's times where you may feel like unsafe because of it's the environment, the alcohol, the drug use, which it happens everywhere. Everything. So sometimes you don't feel like safe, and you create this bond of trust with your coworkers when you're working with them, whether it's like openly said or not, right?
Right.
Um,
Did you feel like there was
felt like that
anything?
was broken completely,
Was
right? Right then and there.
did you feel
You
at that
know,
time, Angie, that there was anything that you could have done at that moment?
I did. I
Okay.
went straight to management.
Okay.
And you know what management did? Nothing. Not one thing. That man ignored me the rest of the time, was an asshole to me every time. Didn't even look at me again, like nothing, which, I mean, I don't have a problem with, but, management should have done something about it.
Right.
I don't care what he does. I care that I'm being taken care of in my place of work, where
Right.
I am supposed to go and feel safe.
Do you think that
And
maybe?
I think a lot of women have these issues where they go to work and they don't feel safe. And
Right.
it happens a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of places that, like we all go running to the bouncers. Like
Right.
sometimes we don't even go to management. It's like we go
Right.
to I mean, if it has to do with the customer, right? Like
Right. Right.
a disgruntled customer or whatever. We go straight to like the bouncer.
Right.
Like, hey, get them out of here, help, whatever.
Right. I mean, you do create good friendships there too. It's not that everybody is the same. That's 100%.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean,
Now,
in the nightlife, there's good and there's bad. And what you take from the good is extremely valuable. I think that first of all, the nightlife has given me a backbone that I never had and never would have obtained in any other field ever, and gave me great social skills, and created a lot of long-lasting friendships, I think.
well, I want to, first of all, I want to thank you for, bringing this up over here. Because I do think there are a lot of, girls, especially out there, that are going to listen to this and they're going to feel like, you know what? if she has the guts. I was going to say the balls, but no, it's not balls. To come out and say these things, and again, and I don't think I respect the fact that it doesn't have to be pointing fingers specifically, because it is something that is very general also, and that
Yeah.
it could
I
have.
mean, I mean, I think it's important that people know that in this industry, women run this shit. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks, and if they say no and whatever, like, you cannot have the nightlife without beautiful women. The beautiful women that you put out there, you cannot have the nightlife without them.
Right.
I mean, maybe a gay bar, but I mean, there are beautiful men in gay
And
bars too.
but they still go there too.
But
I mean, and as a matter of fact, you pointing that out is very important. I think I was thinking about this now that we're so close to having a new women vice president,
yeah,
and to be honest with you, the fact that this country hasn't had a president that's a woman, I'm thrown back a little bit, but at the same time, I'm like, it isn't. It's just you realize that it's so not ready, but it's ready, but people are not ready when they go out there and vote and take care of that part. But what I was actually thinking is, I don't think there is one job that women can't do, not as good as men, but better. and
yeah.
maybe you talk about strength and physical strength or whatever, and there are a lot of women
There are
out there
a lot of
that
women out
will,
there who are
oh,
extreme, they're so strong.
they will beat my ass. I know one, in a second.
Yeah.
So in general, I do think, you guys, have something. For some reason, you guys were the ones chosen to bring children to this world, not us.
Yeah.
We complain when we have a fever, we can't handle it. So
We,
no, it's true.
I mean, imagine being sick for a week and having body aches and whatever,
Right,
but still going to work and still
right,
doing everything that a man can do.
correct.
I mean,
Every month.
every month.
Yeah,
And it's not something, it's something that's natural. It's who we are, what we go through, like, it's
right,
normal. But the fact that women are not respected in most places, we're not. And even more in the nightlife. Why?
right,
Because we show too much.
right.
People are so afraid of the female body. It's so crazy. It's crazy. We were born like this. We
Do
can't
you?
help it. It's a figure that whatever religion it is that you follow, whether you believe in God or not, this is the body that you were born with, that was gifted to you. You cannot do anything about it.
Right,
And people have to learn how to embrace it and stop sexualizing it.
right. Like
And
why is it?
sexualizing it in a dirty way, right?
Correct.
Because being sexy and sexual is one thing, and there's nothing wrong with it at all, right? But I think that when people walk into a venue, right, and you see these girls they're not even half naked. You're wearing tights, you're wearing boots, you're wearing a top. Like, it's not like you're not wearing anything. And even if you were not topless or whatever, it is the female body. It is something so, I can't grasp why I have friends who work in the nightlife, and I have friends who don't work in the nightlife and aren't exposed to that as much. And those are like the most judgmental. And I'm talking people who, like, engineers, people who work in finance, people who work in like different fields, legal field, whatever. And they're not always exposed to,
The
they're
industry.
not always exposed to like the nightlife and being around beautiful women who are half naked, which, again, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And like, the word stripper has a bad connotation, even
Right.
that word. Why? Because a woman wants to. First of all, the amount of money that strippers make is like ridiculous. It would make any woman with that level of confidence want to give up their day job where they're making no money to making over 100 grand a year.
Some people call it easy money. You know how hard earned that
Because
is.
it is easy money.
Well,
Period. Like, who
no,
cares?
but what I'm saying, well, in the nightlife in general, what I'm saying is when it comes to strippers, they're doing, they got to keep that body. They got to, I don't know how they do that, get up on that pole and all those things, whatever. But
They're so talented. I
right.
mean, you've been to 11? Like, the girls who get up there and like, that is work. I've taken pole dancing classes and it's fucking hard. It's hard. I don't care what anybody says. They put in work. They put in more work than most people you ever see anybody else do, for real. Because it's like training every day, like constantly doing something and like creating like new moves and doing this and that. I mean, you're having fun, but I feel like also because there's such a level, like a high level of disrespect towards the female body. Women who work in that industry feel bad about what they're doing. They feel bad for showing their body.
So I was going to ask you, do you
men do it all the time?
Yeah,
like,
please. Yeah, nobody thinks twice, I mean, whatever. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question. So do you think that maybe that is something, one of the reasons why all of this the woman gets the blame? For example, what happened to you, what you were talking about, when you came up to management to say something, you think they maybe said, please, it was probably you provoking it, or it's your fault that it happened because of the way that...
Or they just blame it on men being men. That is not how a man acts.
Right.
A real man respects women, period.
Correct.
If you are disrespectful to women like that, I mean, imagine being somebody who goes back to their primal Neanderthal like type ways, like that is so, it's just you relate that kind of behavior to people who are extremely uneducated is what it is.
Correct. And the issue the fact that happens and that it's overlooked, it's definitely painful on the industry. And I think it has a lot to do with not seeing what I always want to see, which I've been looking forward to it, but it doesn't seem to happen much, which is more women in management and more women in ownership. I'm going to be interviewing somebody who owns a woman that owns a lot of clubs in the UK in the next couple of episodes. So I'm very interested in hearing her story, but the reality is that over here, it's very seldom. I've only interviewed 2 women who are in ownership or in management up to now. And they have spoken about how complicated it was in a way, but that then when they get to the position, they're always told like, oh wow, we didn't expect this. It's so amazing. Everything works perfectly. Everybody respects everybody. That all those, because you guys start looking at all these little things that we just don't have it in us. I mean, and I'm not talking about the disrespect part and not being able to, take care of our people. Because that is, like you said, Neanderthal. It's just not fair. It makes no sense. Yeah, it makes no sense whatsoever. So
it just, people need to start relating that kind of behavior to people who are uneducated and need to be educated.
Correct.
And need to be guided, right?
I think
we touched up on the subject of one day when we talked before this. We touched up on the subject of management needing to take responsibility when things like that happen, right? Things that sexual harassment in the workplace, people getting touched inappropriately, anything that could also put them, it's a liability like on the company itself.
Right.
Imagine I mean, how many places have you heard of that, like, because the management or whoever looks the other way,
right,
they get in so much trouble, right? Like in the long run, just because they kept looking the other way, right?
Right.
there is one company here in Orlando. Again, not going to say the names, but I know that everybody here knows about them. And their management is notorious for getting, harassing women, getting with them, doing, making sexual advances towards them. The owners have a lot of cases against them. Sexual harassment, also women coming out saying that they've been drugged by the owners, underage women being led into the clubs and taken advantage of, a lot of really disgusting, dirty things that, I mean, I'm talking about this stuff right now, and
Right.
I bet that whoever is listening is probably like, well, that happens everywhere.
Right.
Like,
But
it's
the issue is
not,
that it happens and nobody's doing anything
it's
about it.
it's awful. It's awful how many people are, how many, in everybody's mind right now, whoever's listening to this, people know that this is a thing. And the fact that nothing is ever, not that nothing is ever done about it, but most of
Right.
the time it's not done, like nothing is done about it,
Correct.
about these situations. It's bad. It's wrong. And I think that people who care about their work, about their company, owners of these nightclubs or owners of these bars and management who really care about the company really need to start addressing these things
Right.
in the workplace and make, just to create a healthy environment for everybody.
Right.
The last thing that anybody wants to do is go to work and feel like, oh my God, like here I go again, and I have to deal with these people and make sexual harassment become like the norm in their life. That's
Right.
not okay. And it is the norm in a lot of places, and it's really sad because when I was working as a manager at Red Room Key, and I was, it was all girls, right?
Right.
All girl company. And it was very empowering to work with a lot of different women, powerful women also who like felt safe, like being with us and like spending their time with people that they know that they were going to feel safe with. And I think that on some level, that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to go to their job and be happy and stay there for a long time. I mean, the turnover rate for most nightclubs is ridiculous.
Right.
Like for employees.
Right.
Why? Because most of the time they're not happy. Most of the time they are not happy.
Even with the money.
And guess whose fault that is? Management. That is nobody's fault but management.
Right.
How are you, and a lot of the times they don't want to take responsibility. Like they want to just point fingers at everybody else. Oh, she's crazy.
Right.
Oh, she this. Oh, this and that. Like,
or even be part or
like,
even be more involved in the problem, being even more part of the problem.
Oh yeah, or just like gaslighting 100%.
Right.
Gaslighting females is like a staple managerial trait to have in order to get hired and move up in management. I mean, you know how many times I see, that's another thing too, you know how many times I see busboys that have no like managerial training or experience or anything like that, or security guards, all of them just end up being managers at all these venues.
Right.
Like, what qualifications do you have? Why? Because you're a man?
Right.
A woman can have a whole ass degree
right.
in whatever, and they will never get hired for management. They would rather take the guy who just started busing to be a manager than to pick a woman who is educated and has a degree, because they want her,
right.
you know, they may just want her like in the front line, right?
Right. And there is no reason for that whatsoever. Like, it's not
No.
Not like you can say, the physical side of it, or what, nothing. Education, I mean,
Yeah.
you guys know the business as well as men do, and you guys deserve to
Even
be given
more
those.
at most times.
Even yeah, maybe even that, because I don't think, for example, the guys don't understand the whole side of how it is that you have to treat the clientele, in order for the venue to make more sales without being, you know, too much or whatever. I mean, I don't know if it's flirting. What it's, I know what's being pushed is go out there and flirt, but it's really more of be nice. It's be nice.
Yeah.
It's keep a smile on your face, and people are going out there to be entertained, to have a good time. It is what
Yeah.
the nightlife is all about.
And I mean, like the last thing that a woman wants or a girl wants um, in this industry, like working as a server or a bartender or a hostess, is first of all, we get a lot of shit from the customers. I mean,
Right.
the things that customers have done and said that I've seen, that I've experienced, is already like on another level. And to like have management also like, you're getting like that level of like disrespect on one end, and then on the other end it's like constant like abuse like to women, and it sucks. Like we want to feel, again, we want to feel safe where we work. At the hotel that I work at now, we used to have these events once a month, and they were these events in like the lounge area that we have in the hotel, and they were all like promoter based. So we would get so many people that would come out, and it was like the once a month party night that like I could go back to my like nightlife outfits and like do my hair, my makeup like the way that I used to.
Right.
And it was always really great, but like you would never like, I mean, there were some customers that they're difficult and whatever, but because management like cares about you so much, and that it's corporate, like the company is just very like, like strict with the things,
By the book, yeah.
the things we never had any, for the longest time we never had any issues with that type of harassment or anything like that from the customers, because people feel that energy once you walk into like a venue.
Right.
Like you're setting, as a manager or an owner, you set the precedent for everything else in that company, like everything that goes on, right? Like, and you're able, like the moment that you nip something in the bud, when it starts off looking bad, right? You're letting everybody know that that's unacceptable behavior in
Right.
in that venue, and that's not the way that it's going to be. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it could be fun, and you can make a lot of money. Like you can make a lot
Right.
of money. Women can make a lot of money not having to flirt, and
Right.
just feeling like they can be nice. And like I don't have to flirt with you. I don't have to give you my number. I don't have to. You can respect me and I can respect you.
Right.
And I'm here to like make you drinks and help you have a good time. And like, that's it.
Right.
And listen, Orlando, you would never expect that, but there were those nights that we would make over $1,000 each. Incredible.
Yeah.
Like that would never happen at Blue Martini. It's like you have to feel like you would have to like work for it. Like, as a server, I would go there and I was like helping like, sell, selling bottles and whatever. And not all the time, but sometimes some of these customers would get like really fresh, like with you. And you always felt like in order for them to want to tip you and tip you extra and for you to like make more money, like you had to like, they would kind of like suggest it that like you had to be extra nice or flirty or, do things that you wouldn't want for your own daughter, right?
Right.
So it's like it's a lot.
Angie, so we were supposed to be talking for about 30 minutes, and we are almost at an hour.
Oh wow.
So which I'm thankful really for everything you have shared here today. At first when I contacted you about interviewing you, it was gonna go in a whole completely different direction. I think this is a subject that is way, way more important and that people need to hear. It is the right time also for this to be out there. There are not too many platforms that are actually putting information on stuff like this in our industry specifically. And I am, someone who somehow is, uh, you know, I have to, I have to say these kinds of things. There's no way that I can hide it. I have to be able to show the reality of what this is and the things that happen in the industry. And I agree with you 100%. Everything that you have said, it is part of what I have seen. There has been a growth in my own personal, experience from the way that I used to feel when I started at 18, 19 years old to now
Yeah.
that I am no longer 19. Um,
Yeah,
but
and you're able to like relate to if you were to start working with somebody or people who like just started in the industry, you have that power to let them know, guide them, like what is right and what is wrong and what, like at the end of the day, like we're all humans and like we just want to like be like have the good things like everybody
right,
else and
right,
like feel good and like feel good where we work and where we're at most of our day and like or
right.
most of our night, and like I'm thankful that like you're able to allow me to talk about these things and allow people to talk about these
No,
things and
no.
that you're aware and
Thank you, because it takes guts to say it out loud. I know that a lot of people rather just keep it to themselves. I encourage them to come out, to speak out. Whatever it is, because that line that should not be crossed may be a little different for everybody, and it may not be. When people hear abuse or hear any of these things, think of one. Think of sex only, of that kind of abuse. But there are so many ways that people abuse of others, and there's
yeah,
pace, and just there has to be complete respect. There has to be mutual, again, and I believe in
yeah.
that 100%. Before we go, because we are on in an hour. One last thing that you would like to say to those girls out there specifically, or unless you want to send a message out there to those managers, either or, you are open to do so, or if you want to do both.
Well, definitely rather focus on empowering women and because we I think that if anybody out there, anybody, it doesn't necessarily even have to be like women, just anybody in general, we want to focus on like the good, right? On
Mm-hmm.
like what people can do to do better and make a change in their environment and also feel like they can speak up about the things because people find it very difficult to open up about things that they are, allowing fear to guide them, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't, I want to let people know that, this is something that I've been learning a lot recently is that don't let fear guide you because at the end of the day, if you are guided by goodness and light and like something that if something happens to you and you say something and speak up about it, you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for everybody else who needs like that kind of motivation and encouragement to speak up about the things that have happened with them because there are way too many people out there who stay quiet about their situations
Right.
and in the workplace more specifically, right?
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about and covering.
Right.
Um, I think it's important for whoever is out there being taken advantage of or going through something that they know that is not okay and it's wrong, or they feel stuck,
Right.
um, that it's okay to like speak out, and
Yeah.
to that there are people out there who are, you're not alone, right? Like you're not
Right.
alone. Trust me.
Right.
Um,
So,
it's always it's
I,
always important to use your voice.
I want
And
to, again, and
I'm
thank.
like I'm trying to like find the words
No,
to
no, no.
like
I mean,
explain it.
I think the message is
Hopefully.
has been said, has been well sent out there. And I think this is going to make, a difference for a few people, 100%. Just one person that is touched is already a good thing. So I believe
Yeah.
that's going to happen, from this.
I think I touched you as well, like with
Yeah.
like the things that I've
Every
mentioned to
little
you.
thing, and I'm
Like,
gonna and I wanna and I wanna close and I want to close on one specific thing that you said to me before we got onto this call, when you told me, we were gonna be touching on this a little bit, and I want to send this to the guys out there that are in management, ownership, or in any position whatsoever, that they feel or may feel at any time that they can do this and they can do whatever they want. And it's just think about if it was your daughters in that situation. And if you don't have daughters, think, oh, I guess your mom. But put somebody, a woman that you care about, in that position or situation, and how would you feel if it was happening to them, if they were being treated that way? When Angie mentioned that to me, I was like, ooh, because at this moment in time, I can say that I would really love, and everybody, especially my wife, will go like, what are you talking about? I would love my kids to follow my footsteps and get into this industry. I love this industry so much. But when you
you,
asked me what about your daughter, I was like, ooh,
yeah,
that is right. I would feel a little differently, and that is just because of that one issue, which is not one issue, but it's one huge issue that has a lot of little problems, within. So
yeah,
so with that,
yeah. And like you already know how would you feel if she started working in the nightlife? She started off as a bartender. You would be like,
right?
I mean, te da un poquito de pánico, right? Like you're
Yes,
just kind of like, oh my
100,
God, I
one
hope she's gonna be okay. Like,
100%. So, Angie, again, I am so thankful, for you being here today, for you, sharing, parts of your story, ones that I, didn't know about, and I'm sure the audience, hasn't either, and they'll be grateful. A lot of the girls that are listening, a lot of the guys I know will, listen to this and will, feel a little different and feel a little
yeah,
shame about the things they might have done in the past, and might
I
change a
hope so.
few. So that is a very good thing that you have done, here today. Where can people follow you, or your work, or whatever? I mean, get a few followers.
Um, right now, I actually am working alongside a naturopathic doctor, selling a couple of nutrition products, and I'm starting to get into that industry, which I initially started off with, teaching yoga years ago and
Okay.
like working in the holistic field.
Right.
Um, I am starting to get into that a little bit more, so I'm kind of in the middle of my shift,
Okay.
and in the middle of my process with educating myself in acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, naturopathic, like naturopathic wellness.
Okay.
So
Cool.
if you do want to follow me, I do have a food page, and it's
Okay.
called Angelina's Wellness Kitchen.
Awesome.
And then where I post different recipes for healthy meals and things like that. And then I do also have my own page, my personal page, which I mean, I'm constantly on there like spitting out information, but it's
Cool.
all motivational. It's all empowering like women, empowering Latinos,
Okay.
and Latinas, of course.
Hmm.
'Cause,
And what is that
um,
one? The personal one?
the personal one is going to be Angelina__Maria.
Okay. Guys, you heard it. You better go follow her and better start eating well too. And again, Angie, thank you so much for your time today,
No,
guys.
thank you.
No, thank you, guys.
Something that I
Go ahead.
didn't know it was going to turn out the way that it happened. Ended up being like so amazing and like,
I'm glad.
empowering for myself as well. So
I'm
thank you.
glad. I'm glad. Thank you. Guys, remember, you can get my book on Amazon, and you follow me at the Nightlife Entrepreneur on Instagram. You can check out all of the podcast episodes at nightlifepodcast.com and all the courses at nightlife.university. See you guys next week.